The Liberal government is already planning its appeal after a federal judge ruled that Ottawa did not meet the legal threshold when it invoked the Emergencies Act during the Convoy protests. For more on the implications of this decision, we're joined by CTV's chief political correspondent, Vassy Kapelos. Hey, Vassy, thanks for joining us this morning.
Hey, Anne-Marie, great to be with you.
So federal court justice Richard Mosley ruled that invoking the Emergencies Act was unconstitutional. It was unreasonable. What are the factors that he used in making this ruling?
From what I can determine, and I'll preface this by saying I'm not a legal expert, but I certainly read as much as I could. He essentially did not see that the determination that it was a national emergency was a reasonable one. And he goes through a lot of different reasons as to why that was the case. And basically, that's the argument that was put forth by the various applicants, including the Canadian Civil Liberties Association. It has been, from a political perspective, also the argument put forward by a number of the protesters, right? Like, yes, we were there protesting, but it didn't meet the bar of a threat to national security. This judge, as opposed to the judge who oversaw the inquiry into the invocation of the act, determined that that bar was not met, and therefore it was not reasonable, to use the words that you did. He said it's unreasonable that they invoke the act as a result of that determination. And so, yes, they said that they were going to appeal, but basically, those two judges arrived at different conclusions on that point, and therefore on the reasonableness of invoking the act.
You know, we saw this act, and I remember when it happened and being shocked when you looked at what it meant, including freezing of bank accounts, checking into financial records. This was a big complaint against people who, came under the Emergencies Act and had that done to them. It is seen as a huge win for Freedom Convoy protesters, but what does that mean now for the complaints that have come forward against the government that this ruling has been brought down?
Well, that's the big question. Because the feds are going to appeal, the process may be more drawn out, but I would anticipate, and various lawyers I've heard comment on this already have said, that those people who did have their bank accounts, for example, seized or had money frozen, could sue the government now as a result of this ruling, because there were some determinations around that as well. So that will be something really interesting to see moving forward as well.
Yeah. What stood out to you most, Vassy, yesterday when this came down?
So I can give you a little bit of inside baseball or peel the curtain back. We were all at the cabinet retreat in Montreal, and the day, they had put a lot of effort into making this retreat on discipline when it came to messaging, much more so than the previous retreat last summer. They had made very specific announcements about things they determined Canadians are worried about: auto thefts, for example, immigration policy, affordability more widely. And then Donald Trump. Yesterday was the day of Donald Trump. So they had a big announcement. The ambassador was there. Everything was sort of like ready to roll out. And all of a sudden this came down, and it was like pure pandemonium. We were expecting to hear from the defense minister on other stuff, who used to be the public safety minister. Everything was delayed, like by hours. We were supposed to interview someone. It was canceled. Then it was put back on. Like it was certainly, I think it's fair to say they didn't anticipate it. Right. They kind of got it all together and ended up coming out, and you heard the Deputy Prime Minister respond there. But I do think it wasn't necessarily expected in the moment. It diverted them from their agenda, certainly in their messaging on that last day of the retreat. I don't, however, feel from my conversations yesterday that they feel it's this huge political liability moving forward. They do feel like sentiment around the convoy is fairly baked in. They do feel, whether it's legal or not, whether other people have different determinations, that their use of the act was justified. So I don't think they're particularly worried about it being vulnerability in the long term, but certainly yesterday it was pretty much pandemonium.
Vassy, I know that it's been a busy week for you, so I appreciate you joining us early this morning with your thoughts and, again, sort of the behind the scenes of what was happening when this court ruling came down. And as you say, we will have to wait and see what that means for other challenges, especially from convoy protesters, those who were affected by the rulings from the Emergencies Act. Thanks so much, Vassy.
Anytime, Anne-Marie. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.